Hello. The time has come for me to finally get my butt in gear and make this video. So what I decided to do was, as I'm sure some of you remember, like a month or so ago, I set up one of my question boards on Instagram, and I asked you guys to ask questions that you want answered about anxiety. So what I'm going to do for this video and how I'm going to talk about anxiety is basically I'm going to read the questions and I'm going to answer them, and then if I want to elaborate, I will. I'll try and elaborate on every single one if I feel like it needs more explanation, but yeah, let's get started. So the first question is, how old were you when you realized you had the problem? So, let's see. I think I have realized how old was I when I realized I had anxiety? I'd say I was pretty young, probably about 12, but I have been dealing with anxiety since I was little. Mostly when I was young, I had anxiety surrounding just ridiculous situations, like when I would watch scary movies. Like, I hated zombie movies because I was always like, and I still to this day, like, one of my biggest fears is kind of like an apocalypse. And so just stuff like that, and like car accidents, my family dying when I was little, which are still fears now, but that's mostly what it was when I was little. Now there's more fears attached to it, but I'm handling it, so it's fine. So the second question is, do you get panic attacks? Absolutely. I think that everyone gets panic attacks, and maybe that's a jump to say that. I think that there's a huge difference between anxiety attacks and panic attacks. So, how I differentiate between the two is anxiety attacks are when you kind of get stuck in a cycle of your brain just working out anxieties. So, kind of like a what-if cycle. I would consider that to be an anxiety attack. A panic attack is more physical. That's when you start having shortness of breath, and maybe you get hot, you get flustered, your breathing becomes very shallow, or you breathe really hard. Let's see, I start to shake really bad. Mostly thoughts of impending doom, like I'm gonna die, and fear that I will die and I don't want to die. So yeah, I do get panic attacks. I don't anymore as much, knock on wood. I feel like I have learned enough about my body and my mind to kind of help combat that, to not get panic attacks anymore. Obviously sometimes I'll get anxiety attacks, but not so much panic attacks. Also, I was prescribed a medicine called propranolol, and it actually helps the physical symptoms. So it helps with panic attacks, and as soon as I'm starting to feel anxious, like, or like I'm gonna have a panic attack, or I know that I'm going to go into a situation where it might trigger one, I take it with me, and as soon as I start feeling like I'm breathing heavy or my heart starts to race, I'll just take one and I feel immediately better. What is your daily routine? Do you use essential oils or anything related to that? So my daily routine, sometimes I'll do like a 5-minute sequence of yoga or a 7-minute sequence of yoga in the morning if I felt anxious the night before. If I'm feeling good, then I'll just get up and, take things slow, kind of feel it out. I always take CBD oil in the morning. So I take this. It is called Medterra, and I take about 5 drops under my tongue every single morning. And then, yeah, then the rest of my day kind of goes naturally, hopefully. Whenever I'm experiencing anxiety in my daily routine, I try to breathe. And yoga has taught me a lot about that, so I'll try to breathe in and out like deep yoga breaths, and that seems to help quite a bit. And then when it comes to night, because I usually get kind of anxious in the morning and at night, and the days are really good. So at night, after I've brushed my teeth and everything and I'm ready for bed, I'll take more drops of my CBD, but I'll only take 3 drops. So I take 5 drops in the morning and 3 drops at night, and it's all under your tongue. I take vitamin D pills. You can get those anywhere, like Walmart or Target or whatever. I take one of those a day. It kind of helps with depression as well. And then I do yoga at night. I try to do a sequence at least 15 minutes long, like minimum 15 minutes, but if I'm exhausted and it's like midnight, I'll do just like a 5 to 7 minute sequence at night, but I always do yoga at night. I can't forget it. As far as my daily routine, that's it. Essential oils. When I was going through my really hard time with anxiety, I used lavender oil quite a bit on my wrists, on my neck, and on my feet. Either all 3 of them or just one at a time. And because lavender is a calming oil, I'm not an expert on oils, but I know that there's other oils that are better for anxiety. So I would just do more research on that because I don't know. I just use lavender oil. And that's also to help me sleep. So sometimes I'll use it in my yoga practice or at night. I'll just rub it on my feet and it helps me sleep, and it also keeps me less anxious at night. Advice on continuing to put yourself outside of your comfort zone while still dealing with your anxiety. This is a really good question. So my advice is to just trust yourself. So I don't believe that everyone should push themselves to their limits constantly. Like, some people just have the desire to go skydiving, to go mountain climbing, and some people just don't. I've never had the desire to do that stuff, but there are some things where I know that I could be pushed out of my comfort zone a little bit more. Like, for example, talking to people instead of just kind of like staying in the shadows. Trying new foods because I'm really picky. Going on trips, not being afraid to fly in an airplane because I want to go on a trip. So as far as like, I don't think that you need to push yourself to extremes if you really don't want to. I don't think that you should compare yourself to other people and see that people are skydiving and be like, oh, I just have too much anxiety for that. Like, if you really want to do it, then build yourself up to it. Don't, just take little steps at a time, but don't dive in. It could make it worse, and it could make you not want to ever try anything ever again. So I just say go slow. But as far as like little things like getting the courage to talk to people in a classroom setting or in a public setting, just trust yourself. Just like a famous movie quote was, just have 20 seconds of insane courage. So just take a deep breath. Know that you won't die from it. You may get a little anxious, but it's okay because anxiety always passes. And is it harmful to you? If it's harmful to you, obviously don't do it. But if it's not harmful, talking to someone is not harmful. Just have to have courage and to breathe and to know that it'll be okay. And if you do get anxiety in the moment, that it will pass. And to trust in yourself and to have breathing techniques and other techniques to help you out. I hope that was an okay answer. So another question is, how do you get started on anxiety meds, and how do you combat being anxious about anxiety meds? This is also a really good question, and I wanted to bring this up anyway. I think that there is a huge stigma around taking medication for mental health disorders, so depression, anxiety, and other stuff like that. I think that that is a huge stigmatism, and I think that it needs to not be one, because I take sertraline every single day at the exact same time, and it got to the point where my anxiety was so intense that I was living in constant fear every single day. And so taking sertraline has helped me a lot. It has helped me deal with my thoughts. It has helped me become normal again and live normally, to the point where I don't get depression anymore because of my anxiety or anything. And so I know that without taking the medicine, I would have just kept downward spiraling, and maybe eventually would have gotten better, but it wouldn't have gotten as good as fast. And I think I would have been a little bit more emotionally scarred. So I think that taking medicine for your mental health is completely your opinion, and your doctor's as well. I think that you need to discuss it, and if you choose to go to a therapist, I did anxiety therapy and it saved my life. It was awesome. So I recommend therapy as well. And if you don't want to go to therapy, that's cool. You know, everyone's different. Go to a doctor though and just be like, I am really struggling with my anxiety. And talk about symptoms. And that's another thing, is I think that you need to get a doctor that's not just going to prescribe you medicine to prescribe you medicine. As far as getting started on anxiety meds, I think you need to discuss with your doctor and just kind of do an internal check. Like, do you feel like there's just no way you can keep dealing, or you just are in such an awful place or such a miserable place that it needs to change immediately? Just talk with your doctor. And so to not be anxious about meds, just don't believe the stigmatism. I'm still a little shy when I go to take my pills, because I have to take them at the same time every day. And if I'm out in public or I'm with my family, I still get a little shy about taking out my prescription bottle and taking my pills. But I don't think that I need to be. And I don't think that anybody needs to be, because, and I read this once, or someone told me this, but you wouldn't be afraid to take cold medicine for a cold to better you. So why should you be afraid to take stuff that'll better your mental health? Because mental health is so important. So, yeah. How do I cope with my anxiety that makes me worried about my girlfriend? So having anxiety about other people is kind of my thing. I think it's all about realizing that you can't control everything, and you do not control everything. And I have learned that, through yoga. Yoga with Adrienne, you guys. Check out her YouTube channel. She's absolutely amazing. Anyway, so you can't control everything, and you don't control everything. And having a controlling relationship isn't good. So I think that having trust and establishing trust in that relationship should make you, less anxious. And obviously, if you have anxiety about it already, you're gonna have anxiety about almost anything that she does. But it's just about trust between you two, and trust in her as well. So how do you handle your anxiety, and what helped you through it? So yoga has been a blessing, such a blessing. It teaches me breath control. It teaches me how to mentally focus, to mentally take a break sometimes, and to just live in the moment and to ground myself. So when I get anxiety attacks, and I'm in a what if cycle, then I immediately have to tell myself, stop. And then the thoughts, I have to try and justify them. So if let's say that I am worried about my health anxiety, because I get health anxiety very bad. What if this pain in the chest doesn't go away? Like, can it spread? What if I got it from something else? What if I didn't wash my hands enough? Like, it's just an endless cycle, and this is legit what my mind goes through every time. But So what helps me is to just tell myself to stop and justify and ask myself questions like, how do I know that, first of all, that it's not just heartburn? I don't know that. I really don't know. I can't confirm that. How do I know that I'm going to die from it? I don't know that. I don't know that I'm going to die. I have to question my questions, and I have to justify it to myself, and my therapist actually helped me and said to put my thoughts on trial. So if I have a thought, I used to always get anxious about going to sleep because I was afraid I was going to die in my sleep. So she would have me just put my thought on trial and say, I'm going to die at night. And so I have to give evidence as to why I believe that that is true, and I have to give evidence as to why it isn't true. And always the evidence as to why it isn't true is larger than the evidence that it is. And so just doing that really helped a lot, because it helps you think through and realize, okay, this is just ridiculous. And, you know, it's just ridiculous, right? So what helped me through it is just those practices. Also, I listened to a podcast called Anxiety Slayer. They were really amazing, and they target specific areas of anxiety. So health anxiety, or like school anxiety, social anxiety, all kinds of other stuff that just, whenever I was feeling a certain way, like if I was feeling bad health anxiety, I would just listen to their podcast about health anxiety. And it's honest and true, because they both experience it, and it's just really helpful. They give you good techniques and everything. So that really helped me listening to podcasts. Also, as far as like when I start to get into a cycle and I start getting panicky, listening to podcasts or like a book on tape, if you're into that, helps a lot too, because it helps you focus on the words that are being said instead of what's going on in your mind. What helps calm your body? Coping mechanisms for when I have a panic attack. I feel like I've mentioned this a few times before. What helps calm my body is deep breaths. So like in through the nose, out through the mouth. I also learned this really good anxiety technique, or this anxiety breathing technique. So you take your thumb and either your pinky or your ring finger. I don't use my ring finger because I can't. So anyway, you cover one nostril and you breathe in. And then you cover the other nostril with the pinky or ring finger, and you breathe out through your nose. Like that. And that just really helps in an anxious, panic attacky state. Also, like lavender oil helped. Deep breathing and justifying my thoughts, questioning my thoughts, and questioning my anxiety helped a lot. Yeah. Do I see a doctor? If so, do I have one in particular that I like the most, and why? I don't currently, because she is up in Logan, but I mentioned Beth Bouton at the Student Health Services on Utah State campus. So it's just near the football stadium, and it's completely free to students. She's completely free. I absolutely love her. She saw my mom when my mom was younger, and she's just amazing. She's very knowledgeable, and she's so smart, and she really wants to help. She genuinely cares, and she's very honest in a good way, and she's very, very helpful. She's just there for you, very supporting, and yeah. How can you explain to your friends that you can't go out because of your anxiety? This one's hard, but it's also easy. So I feel like if you have a good relationship with your friends and you have good friends, you should have no problem telling them that you are too anxious. For me, it was a little hard at first. I would use excuses such as like, oh, I'm going to stay in with my dad tonight, or I'm just not really feeling like going out, can't afford to go out, when I was feeling anxious. And then I got to the point where I realized that having anxiety is okay. as long as you're fighting it, like combating it. So I realized that having anxiety is okay, and so I was just open and honest, and I just said, sorry guys, I can't come over tonight. I'm just feeling a little anxious, and I just need some time to myself. And they were obviously completely understanding because my friends are amazing. They were completely understanding and completely okay with it. So I think that you need to take care of you first in a situation of mental health. So if you know that you're struggling, if you have to make up an excuse, do it. But I think that if you have good enough friends, and I hope that you all do, you should be able to be honest and just say, I just need a moment to myself tonight. I'm feeling a little anxious. I can't go out. And take that time for yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself, because don't let FOMO get in the way, because your mental health is very important. So yeah. Okay, so just a few things that I want to touch base on. I've covered pretty much how I handle it, how I deal with it and stuff like that, and I think that's very important. But I also think it's really important to know when to take care of yourself. So, taking a day or two a week or more if you need to. When I went through my intense anxiety, I went every day to the basement and I watched movies. Movies helped me cope with it and helped me deal with it, and I took that time to myself. So everyone is different. Reading, I've heard, helps a lot because it helps get your mind off, but physically reading a book didn't help me because I kind of would get lost in the words, and then my mind would just kind of get overwhelming again. Baths can help a lot. Just I think knowing when to take care of yourself is very important. To know, it's okay too, like if you're really struggling and you feel like you need to take a day off of school or of work, do it. You owe that to yourself and to your mental health, and I know you're going to feel a lot better if you do. Being honest with people, I think, is important as well. As I mentioned with friends, like, talk to it about it with your family. Be open and honest and tell them that this is how you feel, and it's not something ridiculous, and it's something to be taken seriously. But your mental health is so important, so you need to take care of that. Surround yourself with good people and good feelings and just a good aura. Don't watch scary movies or whatever if you're gonna get anxious over it. Don't watch depressing movies. Don't read depressing stuff. Don't surround yourself with negative people. Don't put yourself in a negative environment. Help yourself out. Seek help if you need it. If you get to a point where you're very low and you're fighting whether or not you need to go to a doctor, if you're even arguing about it, go see one and just say to them, I've been debating, I just don't know whether or not this is right, but I'm here and you tell me what I need to do. Or go to a therapist. Like, seek help if you feel like you need it, and talk to your family members and ask them if you think that you need to go get further help. Don't be afraid to take care of yourself, okay? Take care of yourself. It's not perfect. So now that I'm doing better doesn't mean that I'm always 100%. I have downfalls, sometimes every day, sometimes I don't, and it kind of comes in waves at times. When I'm more hormonal, it gets a little bit more, I get a little bit more anxiety, and that, has to do with hormones, but just understanding your body and realizing how it works and how to combat it helps a lot. And so when you get into those lows on your roller coaster, you know how to help yourself in those times. And it's okay to have lows as long as you know what to do so that you can get high again, like on the uphill again. It's okay to have downfalls. It's okay to be low sometimes, but you need to seek others in those times or to help yourself. Whenever I get low, I will call my sisters and I will talk to them about it and just be like, I'm really kind of struggling. Can you come sleep over tonight? Can you come hang out with me? Or like if I just need a hug to help me, I'll just be like, can you please just come and hug me, come and cuddle me? Yeah, so it's okay to have downfalls. And that brings me to my next thing. You need to accept that you have anxiety. Accepting that you deal with something that is mental health related is kind of the first step to getting your self-help. So accepting that you have it and it's intense and it's affecting your life, I think that will help you immensely, and it will help you get back on the right track, and it'll help you heal. With that being said, I hope that this video was helpful and informative. I know I talked really fast throughout the whole thing. So if you guys have any further questions, or you feel like I didn't elaborate enough, or I didn't answer the question on any of the subjects that I talked about, please let me know. My Instagram is at Skyeames, SKYEAMES, and like DM me if you see it and you're like, hey, I don't really understand this, or you didn't elaborate enough on this, or so you mentioned this, how can I do this? Please let me know, because I just want to help people. I struggle really bad. I have struggled really bad. Sometimes I continue to. And I just want to make sure that people know that they're not alone. There's other people out there who struggle just like you. Nobody's died from anxiety. You'll be okay. You will succeed. You will continue to do great things, and you will be alright. And yeah, most importantly, you're not alone. There are other people fighting it. There are other people going through it. And so this is hopefully to let you know that you're not alone. So yeah. Thanks.